Let's bring in Missouri Republican Congressman Jason Smith. He's chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Earlier in the hour, Congressman, we heard from Kevin Hassett, one of the president's economic advisors, who said that he sees a blockbuster year ahead in 2026 economically. Do you agree?
Kevin's exactly right, John. It's great to be with you, of course, but the fruits of the labor that happened with the passage of the Big Beautiful Bill, which is the largest tax cut in U.S. history, will lead to, in just a few months, all Americans will face record tax refunds, and that will be very helpful because they've seen inflation under the Biden years go up 22%. Of course, President Trump has done a phenomenal job at reducing inflation to the lowest level, right at 2.5%, the lowest level in 4 years, but we need to do more.
Well, and the American people apparently are giving credit to your political, the other side of the political aisle, for dealing with economic issues. Here's the latest Fox News poll on reducing crime. Republicans are 14-point winners over Democrats, but on creating jobs, making things affordable, and raising wages, Democrats all win by 2, 10, and 14%. Why, especially on the raising wages category, do you think Democrats come out on top? Americans aren't giving your party or the president any credit.
You know, John, it's so hard to understand the wages aspect because, in fact, wages have outpaced inflation during Trump's first 10 months by almost 4 to 5%. And that is the reverse of what happened when the Democrats controlled the White House, the House, and the Senate. So the math does not add up in regards to that. I think that, unfortunately, mainstream media is not on our side, and they're constantly opposing everything. We're even seeing, John, right now, some of these blue states that are passing legislation to prevent working families' tax cuts from taking effect, like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors. It is crazy that the states of New York, Illinois, and other blue states do not want working families to have tax relief.
In another Fox News poll question asked about their personal financial situations, Americans say right now 40% of them say excellent or good. In July of this year, it was 44%. So people's beliefs about their personal financial situation seems to be getting a little more pessimistic over time. You think that's going to turn around?
I sure hope it does. I think whenever they get the record refunds, like I said, in just a few months with the federal no tax on tips and overtime and extending the child tax credit and increasing it, this will only pay dividends. But also what would be super important and helpful is the fact if the Fed would continue to lower the interest rates. I'm glad they've lowered them a couple times, but they've not been lowering them enough. Home ownership, the average home ownership now has increased from the age of 33 when Trump was last president to 40 today. We have to get that under control. But the reason why people cannot afford homes is because simply mortgage rates are too high.
Yeah. And when you look at housing affordability as compiled in this graph, you can see what the problem is. The qualifying income needed to afford a median-priced home is on the top line there. It was $84,000 and change in 2022. Now it's $103,000. Meantime, the median personal income in this country, $43,000 in 2022. It's only $45,000 now. So there's a big gap between most people's incomes and the money you need to buy a house.
That's exactly right. And that's why we have to have the Fed look and follow the economy, lower the rates. I don't know why Chairman Powell has been so late to the game. There is no question that their late actions in reducing rates are having an impact, a negative impact to the pocketbooks of all Americans. Americans have over $1 trillion in credit card debt. With these high interest rates, it only eats away their paychecks even more.
A lot of politicians, maybe yourself included, were astounded that the mayor-elect of New York is a democratic socialist who wants the government to pay for all kinds of things. Charlie Kirk, back in July, when he was obviously still alive, was on Fox and Friends explaining why Mamdani appeals to young voters. Listen.
That kind of radical vision, or even lack thereof, because it doesn't take much talent to say that,
right,
is rooted when people do not own stuff. How do we get more young people under the age of 35 to have equity in the system?
Yes.
Not the Democrat version of equity where they want to have redistribution, but actually, are they paying a mortgage? Do they own stuff? A permanent renting class in this country is the prerequisite, is the leading ingredient for radical politics that nobody wants to see. We need to reinvigorate the ownership economy. And then all of a sudden, when you own stuff, you're less likely to burn down a Wendy's and vote for candidates like Zohran Mamdani.
What do you think, Congressman, about that analysis?
I mean, Charlie was dead on. Definitely a miscommunicator right there. But he's exactly right. The affordability is something that all Americans care about. However, the only way that you can reverse this liberal movement is for people to have ownership and equity in today's economy and to be working towards a better life and not believing the government is going to deliver every need that they desire. That is not the answer. The answer is less government and creating more opportunity for people to have a much better life.
House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith. Congressman, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.